Hi everyone, and welcome to what I think will be one very sought after review, which is of course the review of the 7 Hertz Timeless. I've had it for a while now. Actually, I've had it for about 2 weeks, and I guess I just delayed reviewing it because I just wanted to make sure that when I spoke about it, I spoke it with some experience, some knowledge, and this being the reason for that being that I'd never heard a planar earphone before, so I didn't want to just start blabbing and talking nonsense. Anyway, just a quick run through what comes in the box. I've actually just opened it up because I was trying to find some tips, but basically it comes in a simple box. The usual literature over here. Well, what I actually want to show is this here, which is the box which comes inside with a whole selection of tips. I mean, seriously, well done. Well, there's still some more there. They didn't skimp on tips, that's for sure. There's tips here to give and sell and replacement filters and everything. So my congratulations to 7Hertz for supplying all of this, which shows that they don't want us to spend time looking for tips and provide us with as much as possible the solution for our ears. Brings a cleaning tool. Okay, I'm just gonna pack this away. Anyway, get on to what matters. It comes with this hefty carrying case, which, I mean, with regards to actually carrying it around and going around with it, I think it wouldn't work, because I think this thing weighs a ton. I mean, you throw this at somebody and you're gonna kill him. But it is exquisitely machined piece of aluminum, very well done. I mean, honestly, and it's a showpiece. I mean, you put this on top of your coffee table, if you're having some friends around, and they'll definitely be asking, what is this? So really nice. I mean, congratulations, really, really nice. As for the IEMs themselves, the earphones themselves, here they are. Well, I've heard some people say that they are ugly. Personally, I don't think they're ugly. I think they're just unique. They're big, they're large. Well, they house a 14.2mm driver, so they're gonna be large. However, the nozzle length is fine, and the whole shape of it is actually so good that it fits perfectly in my ears. I really didn't have any issues with fitment. Brings a very nice cable with it. Very, very nice cable. 4.4 Pentacon. And I'm using the tips, which I started off by hearing them with the stock tips, and then I just threw on my 07s from KB or BGVP. They're basically the same thing, and that's the tips that I left on, and because they just work the best for me. So that's it. Let me begin by first saying that everything that I'm going to talk about here is based on what I hear, and I'll give a few songs here and how the Timeless matched up against, for me, the two other references that I have. On my left, the TANCHJIM Oxygen reference in terms of single DD. I mean, there's not much I can say that everybody already that knows a little bit about this knows or has heard about them. They are exquisite. Tonality on this is perfect. They are just, they're magic. I mean, they shoot way above their price range, and can compete with much more expensive single DDs without any problem, and even hybrids, and beat them badly. I mean, really destroy them. That's how good Oxygen is. On my right, the AudioSense DT600, a full BA set. So we have a single DD, a planar, and a full BA set, six BAs. And currently, of the full BA sets that I have, this is the best one. I own a lot of hybrids and I own a lot of single DDs, but full BA, I have to admit I don't. And this is the best full BA set that I have, without a doubt. I just recently reviewed it, and I'm in love with this earphone. It plays. It doesn't play like a BA, in my opinion. It has a lot of characteristics which are more reminiscent of a hybrid than necessarily of a BA. And I think it's down to a very good implementation of the BA drivers used in here. It's using an 80 ohm adapter because that was what I believe really brought out the full potential of these earphones. As for the timeless, and jumping straight into it, what is the first thing that really struck me when I heard them the first time? It's just how big and spacious sound is. It's just enormous. It's like I was in a concert hall. There seems to be no boundaries. So for me, and for the selection of music that I heard, when it comes to soundstage and airiness and everything, soundstage is tremendous. Imaging, tremendous. Detail retrieval, tremendous. So everything that usually Planar is known for in terms of technicalities, it's there. And I haven't heard, or I haven't had the opportunity to test a P1 from 10 Hi-Fi and a PMV PP as well, which apparently uses the same driver. So like I said, my knowledge with regards to planars is very limited, but what is usually talked about when it comes to planars, this ticks the boxes, period. So that's the reason why I actually thought it'd be interesting to compare it to a full, well, to a single DD, which is a reference, and to a very good BA set. Well, at least in my opinion, which is the AudioSense. I will try to see if I can perhaps get another BA set, full BA set that is more of a reference to everybody, perhaps an RSV. I will see. Although that then will also bring up the question, which is the price is already totally out of context over here, because we're talking roughly 240 to 270 here, around 230 here, and about 220 to 250 here. So they're more or less in the same price bracket, and I would like to keep it that way. On to, well, continuing with the sound. So soundstage, detailed retrieval, imaging, the technical aspect of what these IEMs are capable of doing is top notch. That's all I have to say. Bass is, it is not the impactful bass that you would associate usually with a DD, and in that respect, I mean, the Oxygens are not perhaps the best example, but you definitely do notice that the Oxygen does have more punch in the bass. For example, Elephant from Carol Duboc, you notice it. But that doesn't necessarily mean that it's superior to the Timeless. It's just a different style of bass. Texture is amazing. The way it's perfect, honestly. In that aspect, I think when it comes to bass, not only in terms of quantity but in terms of quality, these three actually matched up very nicely. And it was more in the mid-range and then in the high frequencies where the differences started appearing. But again, very minimal differences, because we are talking about probably the best ones in their respective categories. So, we're not talking huge differences here. For example, in a song called Feel It, Portugal, The Man, it's got a kind of a 60s vibe to it. It's a very, very energetic song. The DT600 and the Timeless just brought a life to the song which if you heard if you hear the song on the Oxygen by itself, it's fine. The Oxygen reproduces it beautifully, but these two just brought a life to it, which made it, way more engaging, way more interesting to listen to. And I think it's down to the fact that they can extend out further in the top end than the Oxygen can. Yes, that extension does come sometimes at a price, and I mean, I'll get into that in a little bit, which is the fact that it can make things sound a little bit cold and take away that timbre, that tonality, that warmness. That, for example, the Oxygen, I love it for. It's the Oxygen here is let's say, if I was to let me see if I can make a comparison, an analogy here. If the Oxygen is very good vinyl, the DT600 is very good CD, and this is the latest whatever format you want to consider of digital music reproduction with a DSP. That's my perception. That's how I feel and how I categorize them. It's not that one is better than the other, no, but each one does it just slightly different. When it comes to mids, for me, again, the mids in terms of the Oxygen and the Timeless are the best. Why? Simply because the mids on the DT600 can sometimes sound a little bit sterile. They can sometimes sound way too clinical. They just lack that warmness, let's put it that way. They're good, they're clean, male vocals, female vocals, for example, Analog from Soul Persona, the Timeless and the Oxygen, beautiful. The DT600 made it too clinical, too analytical, the reproduction, and it just took away a little bit of that magic. However, having said that, for example, in Elephant from Karel Duboc, the voices sounded beautifully in all three. When it comes to male voices, again, the same situation happens, in that the DT600 can sound over analytical sometimes, and it just takes away a little bit of that warmness that Will Downing has in Stand Up, for example, where the Timeless and the Oxygen just are beautiful. When it comes to instrumentals, again, the DT600 is just slightly behind. I mean, and I just want to make this perfectly clear. Please, I'm talking about very minimal differences, and you really have to be listening carefully and being in an environment like I am right now, which is a quiet room, nobody making noise, and I don't have cars and motorbikes and leaf blowers or whatever have you outside making noise. I'm in a quiet environment. If I was with a little bit more noise, perhaps all of these little nuances wouldn't be so perceptive. But in a perfect, let's say, environment with good quality, I heard everything through my hip deck. I mean, the differences are minimal. So as I was saying, when it comes to instrumentals, for example, Cieli Minucci, because we've ended as lovers. Timeless and Oxygen, the tonality is spot on. The DT just a little bit, again, too clinical. However, for example, in Landmark by Antonio Forcione, the guitar sounds more realistic, for example, for me, in the Timeless, and the Oxygen and the DT are the ones that fall behind. In Love Will Find a Way from Jeff Cascaro, male vocal as well, the DT and the Timeless actually are the ones that come out on top, and his voice in the Oxygen sounds overly warm, in my opinion. Um, let me see another one here. Yeah, that's, I mean, I'll put a list of these songs so that you guys, you can, well, if you have any of these three, or maybe one or two of them, or whatever, you can actually listen to the songs in question and have a better basis of comparison. How am I going to rank this? How am I going to, in what position am I going to put each one of these IEMs? Well, if I'm going to consider how I ranked them when I was listening to them, and I'll just show you quickly how I was ranking them. So I would give a first or second or whatever. I never really gave a third place because the differences were never that significant. I would say that the Timeless actually is the one that comes out on top. Okay, then the Oxygen, and then the DT600. That's if I want to have an approach which is just purely numbers. If I want to use an approach of what my ears heard and what do I really genuinely liked about each one of them, they all are really good. I mean, these three are my top IEMs at the moment. This I love for its warmness, how the bass is just sometimes a little bit more warm, the mids just come out a little bit warmer. It's perfect. The DT600 I like for its capability to go and fetch details, and for a bass which I was not expecting out of a BA driver, to be honest. And the Timeless, it has a little bit of everything. It's got, I just never really expected a Planar to be like this. I mean, I knew there had to be some magic to them, obviously, and when you're talking about headphones and huge Planars, yeah, I can understand, but that they could actually transport some of that magic and make it work in something so small is unreal. Well done to 7Hertz. I mean, congratulations. They really, it seems that they learned the lessons that TANCHJIM and other manufacturers that ventured into the planar world, well, the small planar world earphone initially, and corrected them and corrected the mistakes that they made, and came out with something which is amazingly priced, and in my opinion, if you don't have a planar, a must have. I mean, well, for me, any one of these IEMs are must haves if you're serious about music. All of them obviously for different reasons, but you must have a single DD of the quality, or like the Oxygen is. For a planar, definitely the Timeless, and for a BA, well, I'm gonna say the DT600 because I like it, but I'm sure in terms of BAs there's a lot of other options that many of you might know and probably will prefer. But anyway, I hope you liked my little take here on the Timeless. I know that it's been getting a lot of mixed opinions, and obviously that's normal. We're all different. We all have different tastes. If we all liked apples, it would just be boring. But I believe that this earphone really does deserve the hype that it's getting. It does, definitely. Anyway, thank you. Take care. Bye bye.